desk. People don't love me to be my name. Creepy men walk around. I don't know what to do. They give me lots of fear. Creepy men everywhere I go. I don't know what to do. They're really quite lonesome. Once one creepy man disappears, another shows up. Creepy men, creepy as they go. Creepy men, creepy men. Where are they? Where are they going to go? Okay, look at this. Ooh, we got that sun coming out today. Creepy men, creepy men. Where are they going to go? We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. Where did they come from? Where did they go? Where do they come from? Where do they go? Where do they go? Okay, so we're gonna go this way, find the pentagram, take a look at it, and then slowly migrate home. Because I've got the other side of the estuary I can wander around still. I've been here all day now. I don't overdo it. It's interesting being on an island separated by a precipitous couple of logs. My knee has been a bit tender for a few days. I think, well, I was hoping walking right here would make it easier. Getting a certain amount of impact. I've got some nice runes from the geese, saw the spirit of bald eagle. I think we're pretty good. But it's like in my heart of hearts, there have been threats to my home, threats to our well-being. Very above average threats. You know, I think the BC Transit, those supervisors, in some sense, arranged with the police as dupes and patsies. Sent non-verbal messages to me of a somewhat, closure about 5 times now in the last 2 years. I don't even use the buses, right? And yes, there's more to that story, but it's pretty freaky, right, what these people can get up to. And the nice white women that work for BC Transit who don't have any idea what kind of people they're dealing with. And anyway, I don't use them anymore. My God. And again, when you know that's what's around you. I remember looking into the face of this bench driver, you know. Another dupe. Here's another guy. It's like just getting his money. Right? They sort of know, but they live in denial about the people they're working with. And that they're a little bit better than criminals themselves. I don't see the managers of the local female entrepreneurs. They really know better than this great. Women can be sexual predators, and nobody would ever know. But I can tell now by the way they talk and to their husbands and about the fathers of their children. Yeah, they talk shit about them. They often flirt even when you're married. There's something about them. They're married, but they don't seem like they really want to be with a man. They don't respect the father of their children. It's confusing, right? And he seems to be a little distracted. I can tell because I've been around women like this. And like they're very pure and nice people, and they don't have any idea what they're into. And these women, while they seem very polite, they're extremely aggressive and passive aggressive, right? They're like feral cats, and they're always scared of not getting theirs. You know, they probably can't rely upon men, but they don't really let men love them. They don't really let them be who they are. They don't think that's part of what a relationship is. It's mostly about men giving them what they want. And as a man, if you let them have sex with you, right, basically how that sexual encounter goes is going to determine your entire relationship. You know, it's very creepy. They're natural sexual predators. Okay. Women make the best sexual predators, really. Look at this. Cool. Who did that? That looks pretty cool. Wow, that's pretty neat. My goodness me. Who did that? That's got me feeling all tingly all over. Tingly all over. Tingly all over. I feel like I'm a tingly all over. Okay. Okay. Take a piss, and then we can slowly. We've got time. You see, no need to be anxious. We've got time to get home. Oh look, the sun's going through this way. Go. La la la, la la la, la la la, la. The sun comes out today. When you think about it, the son of your childhood is protected from all predators. Right? So I can identify female predators now, probably better than any man in the world. And you have to be very careful with such knowledge because these women don't think of themselves as predators. Their husbands, their victims, don't think of them as predators. But they're often chronically ill. The prey. I'm really pleased with how my asshole is doing. Very healthy asshole. All that needs to happen is set of gaslighting and predatory behavior with the local RCMP and local services is if you disagree as to whether or not one of them has been violent to you. And both, whether you're police or BC Transit, are allowed to initiate violence with their clientele. And they don't tell you this on their website. They're allowed to initiate belligerent, antagonistic, hostile, passive-aggressive, and professional behavior with their passengers, brown, white, young, old, male, and female. They're allowed to do this. It is condoned by their culture. It's absolutely condoned. Right? So understand this. Right? And groups and cults are never going to spell this out on their website. Right? Your countries have told you. Your country, your domestic forces, soldiers have told you that they're allowed to initiate, a lot of women are allowed to initiate no contest, unprovoked violence to any number of people around any number or kind of witnesses. Okay? And you have to find a way to not have that happen to you, and if it does, to go on with your life without contesting what has changed about your life when something happens to you that's commensurate with being raped and having your rights taken away and the ability to move around peacefully without fear of being accosted. So I asked a bus driver, should I be afraid of this happening again after she sexually assaulted me? And she wouldn't answer me. Okay? So that's a threat that I should expect it to happen again. Guess what? 2 weeks later, it did. Same stop, same MO, no one around. Another bus driver decided to use negative reinforcement to tell me that they didn't have to give me a ride if they don't want. Yes, I jumped up and down to demand one. Right? There's a little more to it than that. Okay? Because remember, they're operating within a language that allows them to do this and object to it. That's called passive aggression. Right? And whatever they're doing, they're allowed to do. Have told them that they should do this. Right? You object to the first behavior. Here. Right? You get it from the people at the call-in center. You get it from the supervisor. You start to get it from the police. Wow. What are they covering up? What are these people protecting? And so I get to analyze that the rest of my life. And over time, you start to figure it out. Because you won't figure it out right away. Remember, groups of people who are violent are always protecting secrets. They're protecting something, right? It goes a lot deeper, right? They don't want someone to start seeing things What do you think they don't want you to see? Well, usually it has to do with child abuse. That's one. Stalking of the public. So, like locally in Oceanside, they don't really give people a ride, or they do, which is a pretext to profile homeless people, men and women, and humiliate them and deprive them of services, right? And deprive them of courteous services whenever they want, to see if they can provoke them to do anything, right? And if they do, they'll be deprived of even more. And everyone is in on it without even thinking about it. It's just how the muscle works, because humans that band together in various social services are like a muscle. And you're taught in your civic education to believe that that muscle is for good and greatness and greatness. But when humans come together to exert these muscles for economic and political reasons, right, that muscle can be used to harm. And like a psychotic or an alcoholic madman, it doesn't have to retain, sustain, or ever be provoked to bear forth any evidence of having any conscience about it. By any number and range of absolutely imperative humans, essential humans in the entire process of just eating, profiling, and eating people alive. And you say, well, that's a conspiracy theory. Well, that's what it is something that happens that's hard for people to see. Not because it doesn't happen, but because it does. And your brain has to be able to function at a certain level to even consider that. Because humans aren't the brain. Humans can have PhDs, they can have law degrees, but they don't always have that type. You have it enough if somebody's in your face and hurting you, or the police are ripping apart your car. You might be prevailed, but even then, people don't want to really pursue. What's all floating in this realm, right? So I'm very interested in that. So you understand why I don't like police. I don't believe in these civic education and these civics, right? That are not really the kinds of people you want coming often into close contact with vulnerable human beings, because they can initiate violence, and by orders of group psychology and group security and civic security, be totally protected in their need or their compulsion, such as they imagine it, to lower their inhibitions enough to do things to people that they wouldn't do to each other or they wouldn't want done to them, right? And no matter how unsafe it makes you feel, nobody gives a fuck. But if you make them feel nervous for a second, right, they'll fucking threaten to arrest you. They don't want to be nervous. They don't want you to raise your voice. They don't want you to do anything. They want you to be nice and small and obedient so they can be whatever they want. They don't realize it, but they're exerting a muscle of dominion and dominance that they're not going to get satisfied by. They don't know enough about it to be satisfied by it. What they're really doing is fulfilling impulses and compulsions that will never be satisfied. They're insatiable, right? And it weakens them and the people around them. Their health, their status in life is an illusion, right? As they go on in life, they become fat. They become alcoholic. They get cancer because they're disintegrating. They're being used up. They're being animated by a false energy, by a demonic energy. Their craft, their education, their costumes tell them they're an important person, right? But every single person you abuse is going to take away from your life, right? And it does. It takes away from their lives. Their lives are already suffering from it. But because they do what they do, part of the reason for it is to take them into denial throughout the rest of their life. Example, I lived with a police chief. Not police chief, a fire chief, okay? And this man lives in denial all of his life. His child is getting abused. He neglects his children. He's neglecting his home. He neglects his dog. He neglects and deceives everyone around him. The people that come into his house are sociopaths who work in social services. His children are not safe. The only thing that keeps them safe in a kind of Oliver Twist Dickensian kind of way is that no one competently cares about them, right, at all. They're just flailing about listlessly in the world, right? Smart, above average intelligence, right? And he has nothing for them, nothing. But he can save people's lives. With the jaws of life. He can save people's lives. But he can't save his own children's lives. Everyone has to pay for him to do his job. It doesn't make any sense. And he's telling me this. Like, he's telling me in English, but he doesn't know what he's saying. So in English, you can use words that sound like you know what's happening, right, in a way that favors you, but he doesn't even get what he's saying. He doesn't understand the behavior of people around him. He doesn't understand the behavior of his children. He doesn't even know what his dog needs. He just knows how to play video games on his computer and lock himself in his room when he gets home after his difficult, heroic job as a fire chief, saving lives. Stories, you know. I had to tell people that someone they knew died today. You know, he talks about family like he's living in a fantasy world, like he's one of the Waltons, right? And his children are left alone. There's garbage all over the floor. His place is disgusting, right? Not learning any cleanliness habits, not learning any study habits. And all he does is he thinks he's making dinner every week when he has custody of them. He's got garbage all around his house. His cars in various stages of disrepair. Because when he does have time, he doesn't spend time. He finds other things to do, getting extra work. Because I guess his as a fire chief isn't enough. Fixing people's cars, which takes him often months to do, which neighbors have to look at any number of cars sitting around his house to give him something the fuck he feels like it. Right, Tyrone? Right? But never has any time for his children. Right? Ever. What do you think this person's priorities really are? What do you think their priorities really are? I'll tell you what they are. They're nothing. He's a nothing person. But if you meet Tyrone, that's why I was living in his house, you think, oh, fire chief, nice guy, boom, 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 tells you this, that, lies through his teeth, right? Charging you higher rent than ever. You're working for him, employee. You're taking care of his children. You're cleaning his house. You're getting his children to pick up in their underwear out of their rec room. Because you buy them some chocolate bars, you give them $10 and they make sure they spend all of it, right? And you come back, they buy chocolate bars, they eat them, and they just throw the wrappers on the floor like they've been doing it since they were born. I asked them, do you ever put that in the garbage? No. And you look at all the garbage on the floor. This is their father's house. What do you think? Do you think they respect their father? You think they're going to respect men when they grow up? Intelligence, but they're going to be no better than female predators. They're going to understand that predator world because everything in their life and all their membership in the world is already going to be predicated onto handling their grief and bereavement as children and having this complete cunt as a father who is a paragon, right? And to see him walking around, you think he's a perfectly nice man. Being nice has nothing to do with it. He's an incompetent father. He's not a nice man, and the people around him are not nice. And the worst people I meet around him are the females that come into the house while I'm there without knocking and don't even introduce themselves. Right? They basically stalk me and prey on me whenever they come to the house without knocking. I'm only there a month. I give him my notice right away. Right? He's full of vermin. Right? And his little girls are around here. Right? What is going to protect them from these people? What is there? What do you think in society to protect them from me and you and this world? What do you think is going to protect them? Themselves? There's got to be something in human beings to protect them from this. What is it? What is it that's supposed to protect us? What inside us is meant to protect us from this? Oh, that sun is nice. What is there in this? And there has to be something in it, right? Look at that sun. Beautiful. Let's come home early today, I guess. I'm going to go to the estuary, so let's get across here. Hey, hey, what do you say? I'm going to see that sun today. Hey, what do you say? I'm going to see that sun today. Hey, that sun today. Hey, that sun today. Hey, hey, that sun today. Hey, hey. Hey, hey, what do you say? We're gonna see the sun today. Hey, hey, what do you say? So that's just one of dozens and dozens of examples of people I've studied. Yeah, I mean, it's just, and the next place I went to was just as bad. Stayed there for 4 days or 2 days. I left right away, packed up my mom's car and left. It's like, and she's living on a property, expansive property, owned by a couple of us, okay, who have no concern for human well-being and never will develop any. But they're perfectly nice people. And you start to notice something about the environment. Something listening to me, something about the world around us. You notice something? It's like people aren't what they seem. They're trying their hardest to survive and be good people. Everyone is just like, it's a given. Trying really hard to be good human beings. It's a given. Of course you would, right? You're a good person. You're going to try to be good, pay your taxes, your work. You notice that people aren't really very good, right? And the people that are, you don't want anything to do with them because you live in so many different levels and layers of suspension of disbelief that these people make you feel uncomfortable. The resonance of their subconscious mind and Rh negative people makes you nervous, it makes you angry, it makes you want to kill them or get rid of them or say something awful to them. Right? And people like me, it seems like people are just demonic. It's like there aren't demons, there are people who have just been conditioned in a certain way. And their behavior, such as it is possessed by various forces that are not under their control, but find their way under pretext of natural compulsions, desires, and often for survival or other things. And they hunt people like me, or you do. Hunt them and hunt them and hunt them. Because this is something you can get for free all of a sudden. You can get me for free. You work for everything else, but your women want me for free. Right? This is where you get yours. Right? I have to offer you a hunk of my flesh, because that's what the Messiah does, right? That's what your scapegoat extraordinaire, which is black magic, teaching people that there are sorts of people, you can keep eating them, but they'll always have more flesh to give you, right? Because society does that to you. You need to have the capacity to do that to others, to feed on them and feed on them and feed on them and keep coming back for more. But you don't want to listen to them. You don't want to give them the ability to protect themselves from you. You want them to trust you. You want them to keep coming back for more. You don't want that suspension of disbelief to be challenged and say, hey, that's not right. And in order to do that, your victims are going to have to be very smart people. They're going to have to go years and years and years and never hear any apologies from you and your people. I meet white people who are unapologetic about what we did to Native people. They're still not ready to apologize, right? Right? Not asking you to fall on your sword, just apologize for what your people. White people don't understand that white people behave a certain way, that you are part of a race, and your race is like a cult, and you're members of that cult. It's not good for you. It's not good for anyone, but it is yours, and you're responsible for it. No one else is going to be. If you want to pick a race, you have to be responsible for your race and what it has done. You have to be responsible with your family. You don't have to fall on your sword. Ah, the birds are here. Nice. Come enjoy them. Your hands are cold. when you complain about human cannibalism, you're complaining to someone who cannot think about it. You're complaining to a cult and a people usually who can't. Their entire survival precludes them from helping you. You're done. You have found a boundary between the sane and the unsane. When dealing with people who wear uniforms of any kind, who enjoy the prerogative of being able to mete out abuse, which they don't call abuse, to anyone whom they like. Done. Over. That's part of the guarantee of their survival as part of various cults, various professions, various social, spiritual, and economic organizations of human thought, human connection, human knowledge, human language, human survival, human history, and race, and gender, and all that stuff. None of which is improved in any way by any of those things. And never will be. And that's what you're up against. That's the wall. Right? And you're dealing with a human predator and groups that have succumbed to global dominion and oppression and capitulated to it while thinking themselves in charge of the revolution, so to speak, of any age. You're up against human survival. You're up against mankind in his survival. And your sense of survival conflicts with his sense of survival. Who do you think's going to win? So sure enough, you don't openly contest. And maybe it's no good. But you form the words. You still have the emotions. Right? You still have the instinct. And just expressing it can help you live longer. Wow, you can just sit in the sun there. Let's do that. Hey, 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 what do you see? I gotta be with you today. Hey, 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 what do you see? I gotta be with you today. Well, this is nice luxury. Be able to hang out with the sun. Collect myself, as it were. My bloodstones are good. Freedom is now. These are provincial parklands, and you can come and hang out as much as you want, but you might get some ugly stares from the locals. But this is good work. Nature tells me that to say these things, to sound these things, you confront the devils of the world, but on your territory. It's the only way to do it, to do magic, to remove yourself and then deal with the devils of the human mind, right? To love yourself and fear all humankind, as Percy Shelley said. maximize, to multiply. But you have, like, a lot of people don't know their jobs, and they're not supposed to, right? When you're born, what is your job? Well, you've already done the most important job. You came to life in a physical body, so good for you. Right? And somebody's supposed to love you, and somebody's supposed to want. Somebody's supposed to have the time to do that. And someone's supposed to get a lot out of doing that with another someone called your mom and dad. And that's what you deserve. And how many people have that for as long as they need it? People live in a world that is interested in what you feel about how long you had it, when you didn't have it, and some continued reservations about whether or not you ever really did. I want you to put aside all those childish feelings, lose your ability to speak any kind of ethically sound body language, and go and do something real in the world. You're supposed to feel good about that. It's hilarious. That's magical thinking at its finest, right? And I've studied this. I've talked to teachers who believe this religion. Hey,